Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. Everything was just so special that night. Dad was treating me as if I were some sort of porcelain doll, holding my chair for me, ordering my dinner. But what made the evening truly wonderful was dancing with Dad. All through dinner, the band played nothing but soft, romantic music, perfect for enjoying a delicious meal. When we had finished eating, Dad and Mom went off to dance. Several songs went by before they returned. Dad gallantly held Mom's chair as she sat, then extended his hand to me and asked me to dance. I was stunned and pleaded with him that I didn't know how to dance, but he insisted that I'd be fine. All I had to do was follow him. Dad just stood there, holding out his hand and smiling at me, so to avoid a scene, I took his hand and followed him to the floor. It all seemed so strange as we walked hand in hand to the dance floor, my small, delicate-looking hand with long red nails nestled in Dad's large, protective-looking hands. As Dad took my hand in his and held me close as we danced to one song after another, I felt so happy to be there with him that I wished the night would never end. After our dance, my partner gently kissed me on the head and led me back to the table where my mom sat with a joyful expression. "I wish I had a photo of you two dancing," she said tearfully. "It was so sweet." Just as I was about to get swept up in the moment, I felt a gentle tap on my shoulder. I looked up to see a cute guy smiling down at me and asking if I would like to dance. I was torn between giving in to my emotions and dancing with him and feeling like I would be in the arms of another man. I glanced at my mom, who smiled and nodded subtly, giving me the go-ahead. I pushed the negative thoughts away and got up from my chair, allowing him to help me. As we danced to slow songs, his grip was gentle but firm, and I could feel the strength in his hold. It was exciting to participate in a traditional male-female ritual as a female, and my heart raced with excitement. We danced for several songs before the band started playing faster music. Jack and I continued to dance, and even though we were no longer physically close, I could still sense the attraction between us. We talked for over an hour before Jack asked if I would like to go to a few other clubs with him. I declined, not wanting to be alone with a guy just yet. Jack seemed a little disappointed but smiled and told me that he hoped I would stop by again so we could dance together. I thought it was a great idea and planned to check out some of the places he mentioned during school breaks. Back at home, I hung up my dress and admired myself in the mirror, running my hands over my silk-covered body. After 2 months of female hormones, I had changed so much that I enjoyed having a guy ask me to dance and hold me close. It was a new and intoxicating feeling to have someone want to protect me, and I found it easy to get used to. As I was taking off my makeup and getting ready for a bath, my mom stopped in for a chat. I felt a little self-conscious having her see me in my lingerie, but she acted like it was no big deal. She sat down on the edge of my bed and had a mother-daughter talk with me. "I was a little concerned about you tonight, Rosie," she said. "You have to be careful about men. You haven't had the experience most girls your age have." "What did I do wrong?" I asked, puzzled. "I thought it was okay to dance with that guy." "You didn't do anything wrong, dear. It's just that the man you were dancing with is a bit too old for you," Mom explained. "You're still too young to handle older men." "I don't understand, Mom. What's so different about how old a guy is?" I asked, confused. "I think he mistook you for a woman in her mid-20s, and that could lead to different expectations than a girl your age is ready for," Mom clarified. "You looked old enough to accept the responsibilities of an older woman, and I sensed that you were getting in too deep. I'll die if you ever mention this to Dad, Mom, but that guy brought out feelings in me that I never thought possible," I whispered. "The way he held me tight and the look in his eyes." "I understand, dear," Mom replied, taking my hand in hers. "Maybe in a few years, those feelings will be appropriate for you, but not now." "You mean because I'm a guy?" I asked, my voice trembling. I didn't feel anything like a guy when he held me. "Because you're not a woman yet," Mom said. You look like a woman and you're beginning to feel like a woman, but you're actually still just a girl. You need to mature a little more before you can truly understand the emotions that you're experiencing. Just stick with boys your age for now, okay? Thanks for the advice, Mom, I said as I hugged her tight. I'm sorry I worried you tonight. Mom smiled at me for a moment. You know, Rosie, you're a mother's dream daughter. I'm going to miss you when this is all over. Then let's enjoy each other now, Mom, I said as tears welled up in my eyes. If I had to be anyone's daughter, I'm glad I'm yours. We hugged and held each other, both breaking down and crying. I had never felt closer to my mother in my life than I did that night. The next day, I chose a simple white cotton dress with yellow flowers and low-heeled yellow sandals. The dress fell just inches below the lace trim of the half-slip I wore, and I unbuttoned a few of the top buttons to expose a hint of my cleavage. I fastened the matching belt as tight as possible to emphasize my new figure. I received compliments from Mom and Dad on how nice I looked, and Mom introduced me to a few of her friends as the daughter of one of her oldest friends. They all accepted the story, and some even warned me to be careful at college since it would be my first time away from home. You know those college boys have only one thing on their minds, one woman advised me. I did my best to keep a straight face as I told her that I understood this particular school had a good reputation for keeping those kinds of boys out. I could just imagine the shock if she only knew that the sweet young girl she was warning used to be one of those boys. Mom and I spent a few afternoons shopping, and I helped with the housework and dinner the rest of the time until I had to leave for school. As my father forced a thin smile, he bid me farewell and offered supportive words, urging me to call whenever I missed home. My mother's eyes sparkled as she shared her excitement regarding my impending transformation to a convincing female figure. As I prepared for my departure, Nonny greeted me with enthusiasm at my apartment, eagerly listening to my experiences and reactions with my family members. She was pleased at the outcome with my parents but appeared even more keen to hear about my flirtatious encounter with Jack. Her inquiry, "Did you feel any attraction toward him?" was subtly framed, conspicuously abstaining from mention of another gentleman. We weren't that close, I chuckled, yet discerned a certain fascination that Jack's embrace instilled in me. Nonny, how did he make me feel so guarded and cherished, unlike when I danced with my father? As I attempted to distinguish my feelings, Nonny extolled the distinction that a handsome man's touch can evoke contrasted to a parental embrace. Sharing my disappointment, she comforted me, lauding my progress as her finest project. "Don't you feel pressured by these unfamiliar emotions?" I inquired, hoping to familiarize myself with my nebulous feelings. In response, Nonny unfolded the explanation to me. Being young, hormone therapy is more effective. It seeps into young males' brains and prods their gender identity with profound consequences. The subtleties are evolutionary, yet potently impactful. Eventually, I will grow accustomed to these feelings before embracing them wholeheartedly. Will I return to my masculine identity? Will I be sexually attracted to men or recognize their attractiveness? Were my anxieties. Through reassurance, Nonny confirmed that no male alterations would persistently affect my sexuality. I would be granted freedom to revert to the original identity or opt to remain female. Otherwise, you revert to your original state, except without the ability to grow a beard due to the electrolysis, Nonny elaborated. A beard isn't a big loss, I sighed. As long as that's the extent of what I'll miss, if you catch my drift. That's all there is to it, Nonny assured me with a smile. I'm pretty sure of that, I said confidently. I think. I spent the following days mostly lounging around, contemplating the upcoming operation. Doubts lingered, but I couldn't shake the curiosity about experiencing life as a girl fully. Trying on outfits without fear, wearing snug jeans to flaunt my figure, even the idea of wearing a bikini stirred excitement. Finally, the day arrived. Admitted, signed forms consenting to a reversible sexual reassignment, and settled into my room for the duration. I unpacked and relaxed until it was time. Mom and Nonny visited to wish me luck before the sedating injection. I smiled hazily at them, waving weakly. The next moment, I woke to their concerned faces, feeling an unbearable ache. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" Mom asked, her voice tense with worry. "Is everything all right?" "I feel awful," I groaned. "Is it done?" Mom hugged me tightly, tears welling up. "It's done, Rosie. You're a woman now." "Oh God," I whimpered. "I might have made a terrible mistake. The pain is unbearable." A nurse entered, offering relief for the pain. It surpassed anything I'd felt. Mom and Nonna's presence kept me from losing it. "Welcome to womanhood, Rosie," the nurse beamed. "You'll be a hit with the guys. You were always meant to be a woman." "Thanks," I muttered, pain still lingering. "I hope it's worth it." "You've got it all now, Rosie," Nonny chimed in. "Beauty, charm, and a killer body. I think that's what's happening," I managed before drifting off. When I woke, a day had passed, and the pain had subsided. I spoke with Mom when the nurse returned with a small pink box. She set it beside me, closing the door for privacy. "Time for a little girl talk," she said, smiling. "There are things you need to know to maintain everything properly." With that, she handed me a box of tampons and some elongated objects that resembled bullets. Indicating the tampons, she instructed me to wear one daily for the next few months. Demonstrating with a booklet, she explained the insertion and removal process. "I'll have periods," I exclaimed in disbelief. "No, the surgery isn't that perfect," she chuckled. "These are to prevent closure and avoid the need for another operation." Closure? I wondered, then recalled. If left unattended, the body may attempt closure, necessitating surgical reopening, the nurse clarified. "I doubt you'd want to go through that again." "Agreed, once was more than enough, thank you," I said, accepting the tampons and instructions before reaching for the plastic object. "That's a dilator," the nurse explained. "To be used twice daily for 30 minutes, also to maintain openness." By then, I was burning with embarrassment. Thankfully, the nurse was understanding, helping me relax and comprehend the procedure. We discussed how I'd need to use the dilators and tampons for a few months until complete healing. Afterward, I could use the dilators once or twice a week for another month or two unless I found alternative methods. Alternative methods? I asked suspiciously. What else could I use? "A partner," the nurse replied matter-of-factly. "They can help maintain openness, if you catch my drift." "You mean being intimate with a man?" I gasped. "If you're in love, yes, otherwise, just engaging in relations," she continued. "It's your choice, but remember to practice safe measures." "I thought I couldn't conceive," I said. "Can I?" "Pregnancy lasts 9 months, dear," the nurse chuckled. "But AIDS is a lifelong concern." "Forgive my oversight," I apologized. My mind was elsewhere. On a charming doctor, perhaps, she teased. "The doctor, indeed," I confessed with a smile. "Every encounter with him sparks dreams. You and every nurse in the hospital," she laughed. "I'd wish you luck, but I'm vying for him too." We shared laughter and conversation about relationships until she had to attend to other patients. Every conversation with a woman taught me something new about femininity. Despite feeling knowledgeable about womanhood, I never realized how intense female desire could be. I was discharged 2 days post-operation without ever summoning the courage to inspect my new anatomy with the provided hand mirror. Despite contemplating it several times, even holding it once, I couldn't bring myself to lift my nightgown and lower my panties. Bathroom visits confirmed the success of the surgery, but I now understood that cleanliness would require more than a quick shake and readjustment. I had been using the seated position for bathroom visits ever since this journey began, but now it wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. Nonny stayed with me the entire first day back home to ensure I adjusted smoothly. We ordered pizza and a couple of diet sodas, discussing my feelings throughout. She was incredibly supportive and tried her best to empathize, though she couldn't fully grasp the experience since she'd never gone through it herself. I poured out my emotions to her, ending up in tears as I recounted the nurse's words about how I'd been wasting my time as a guy, implying that I was meant to be a woman. Why would she say something like that? I sobbed. Have I changed that drastically? Yes, Rosie, you have changed that much, Nonny replied. In fact, even more. The nurse was right. As a guy, you were nothing remarkable, thin, a bit of a nerd trying to act tough. But now, you've transformed into the kind of woman men can't resist. You're soft, curvaceous, just the right size and shape to make a man feel protective, and that's what will make you irresistible to them. They love feeling big and strong. Fantastic, I sighed. Not only do I have to spend 4 years as a girl, but I also have to be cute. Don't be such a downer, Rosie, chuckled Nonny. Imagine, 4 years of being pursued, desired, lusted after by men. I'll be pursued, desired, and lusted after by men. Not exactly my idea of a dream come true. I interrupted. All right, then how about 4 years of dining out without ever having to pay? 4 years of having your every whim catered to, she proposed. Then, with a mischievous grin, she added, 4 years of having some hunk massage suntan lotion all over your adorable body, strong hands caressing your back, your stomach, your breasts. I'll stick with the dinners, I said, laughing. I've always been a sucker for a free meal. Looks won't be a problem for you, Rosie, chuckled Nonny as she reached into her bag. I brought you a little get-well-soon gift. She beamed as she handed me her present, a pair of jeans and a peach-colored bodysuit. Quick, try them on, she urged. I thought you'd enjoy being able to wear pants again. Taking the clothes to my room, I realized that despite initially yearning to wear pants, I had grown quite comfortable in my skirts and tops lately. I had come to enjoy dressing up in pretty dresses and all the associated accessories. It had become fun to experiment with makeup and wear lovely lingerie, even if I was the only one who knew I was wearing it. I hated to admit it, but I had even started to enjoy the attention from guys, especially when I wore fancier dresses. I slipped out of the shift I was wearing and pulled the bodysuit over my head, taking care to fasten the snaps at the crotch. I was thrilled with how it accentuated my curves, and thanks to the low-cut bra I was wearing, it also provided a teasing glimpse of cleavage with its neckline. As I pulled on the jeans, I was amazed at how smoothly they zipped and fastened, despite their snug fit. The pockets were merely decorative. I quickly pulled my hair back into a ponytail and applied some blush and lipstick before modeling for Nonny. How do you feel about your body now, Rosie? Nonny asked with a mischievous grin. I can't believe it's really me, I exclaimed breathlessly. I'm hot, sexy, gorgeous, Nonny interjected, finishing my sentence. All of them, and only 18. Do you have any idea how many girls would envy your appearance? I can't handle this, Nonny, I cried. I shouldn't look this way, and I know I shouldn't enjoy it, but I do. I love my appearance and all the pretty clothes, but it's so confusing for me. Nonny held me close and stroked my hair. I understand things are moving quickly for you, Rosie, perhaps too quickly to fully grasp, but soon you'll feel at ease in your new body, and these doubts will fade away. I hope it happens soon, I sobbed. I can't stand feeling stuck in between like this. Sometimes I wish they had made the change permanent, at least then I'd be one or the other. Take a deep breath, Nonny said softly. Once you're back in class, you'll have less free time to dwell on these thoughts. Everything will fall into place with time. I can't express how comforting it was to have Nonny embrace me and offer such reassurance. Suddenly, it felt like the sun was peeking through the clouds. Once this ordeal was over, I was determined to find a way to repay her, although the idea of marrying her no longer felt as significant. As Nonny predicted, the combination of female hormones, suppression of most male hormones, and physical changes proved overwhelming. With each passing day, I embraced my femininity more and more. I quickly adapted to wearing slacks and soon found myself living in jeans, relishing their fit, comfort, and the attention they garnered. I thought I'd live in jeans for the next 4 years, but as the weather warmed up, I discovered the joy of short. They were just as flattering as jeans but even more comfortable, offering the freedom of movement without the worry of how I sat or moved. Paired with midriff tops or t-shirts, they gave me the look of a confident young woman at ease with herself. I'd wake up, slip into a pair of shorts and a top, tie my hair back into a ponytail, and confidently tackle my day, knowing I looked fantastic. After registering for the upcoming semester, I spent a few days visiting my parents, who were amazed at the transformation their daughter had undergone in recent months. No longer the timid girl unsure of her identity, I had become a self-assured young woman ready to take on the world. One of the boldest things I did during my visit was accept a date with a guy from high school. While I was reaching for an item on a high shelf in the supermarket, Smith gallantly offered to fetch it for me. Being several inches taller, he easily retrieved the item, earning the gratitude of a charming damsel in distress. My hero. I joked as he handed me the item. "'Twas my pleasure, fair lady," he said with a smile. "Now, as it is customary to reward us gallant knights, I would be honored if you would allow me to buy you lunch." Smith and I hadn't been close friends before, but we were acquainted. I was taken aback, realizing he had no clue he was making a move on me. Gazing into his big brown eyes, I felt a flutter of excitement. He stood several inches taller, and even as Rick, I had admired his well-muscled arms and chest. Now, I longed for him to wrap those muscular arms around me and hold me close to his chest. "Though that would indeed please me, O gallant knight," I teased, "I must return from my errand and deliver these supplies to my lord." Smith gave an exaggerated bow and flashed a smile. "Perhaps we may meet again, kind lady." I couldn't deny the feelings washing over me. Nonna's predictions were unfolding before my eyes. I was becoming more like a girl with each passing day. Here I was, in a supermarket, conversing with a guy from my past, and now I was considering dating him. Dropping the medieval act, I smiled sweetly. "Are you from around here?" "Yeah," Smith replied eagerly, sensing an opportunity. "Just a couple of blocks from here." "Where are you from?" "Oh, I live out of state," I replied with a smile. "I'm just visiting some family friends before I go to college. Maybe you know them, the Millers?" "Sure," Smith replied. "I went to school with Rick Miller." "Do you know him?" "Uh-huh," I replied. "Our families were pretty close, and we kind of grew up together. I heard he dropped out of college to work out west somewhere." "So, you're staying with the Millers then?" Smith pressed, showing little interest in Rick. "Maybe I could drive you there." Smith was clearly eager to get to know me better, and I wasn't about to brush him off. He was tall, cute, and I had overheard girls in high school talking about what a great kisser he was. "That would be really nice, Smith," I smiled, brushing back my hair. "Thanks. Once you drop off your stuff, would you consider grabbing a burger with me?" he pressed. Wanting to play it cool, I hesitated for a moment, as if contemplating. "Okay," I said with a grin. "Since I don't have a scarf to reward my fair night with, I guess lunch would be a suitable reward for a kind deed." Smith tried to act nonchalant, but I could sense his excitement. If only he knew how thrilled I was at the prospect of going out with such a good-looking guy. As Smith opened the trunk and helped me with my purchases, then held the car door for me, I smiled up at him. I noticed it took him a moment to tear his gaze away. He was admiring my legs. Wow, did that ever boost my confidence? Smith had surprised my parents when he pulled up to the house. They were taken aback as I stepped out of his car, introducing him as a friend who was kind enough to give me a ride home. As we made our way inside, I could feel the tension building between my dad and Smith. He clearly had concerns, but my mom, with her knowing smile, seemed unfazed. As we settled into our seats at the diner, I couldn't help but notice how handsome Smith looked in his tight jeans. His muscular frame and firm but were almost too much to handle, and I found myself getting increasingly turned on. Even as I tried to suppress my desires, I knew they had taken over. After we finished our meal, Smith walked me back to my house, giving me a friendly peck on the cheek as we said goodbye. But as I looked into his eyes, I couldn't resist the urge to kiss him again, this time on the lips. He pulled me close, and I reveled in the feeling of being desired as a woman. As I walked back inside, I could feel the tension dissipate. My dad, still a little concerned, asked about our date. I assured him there were no problems and gushed about how wonderful Smith was. My mom, always perceptive, asked if there was any trouble between Smith and I. I assured her there wasn't, and as I sat down for a cup of tea with her, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the love and support of my parents. Despite the worries of my father, I knew that this was a new chapter in my life, and one that I was excited to explore. A daughter I can handle, but not a sister. I like him just the way he is. Well, I guess he is sort of cute. I giggled, but then I stopped and looked at Mom. How do you really feel about me, Mom? Do you mind having a daughter for a while? I loved you as Rick, and I love you just as much as Rosie, Mom smiled. And just between us girls, I wouldn't mind if you were my daughter forever. I'm not sure I would either, Mom, I replied. Especially after Smith. We spent hours talking about me and about Smith and other guys. I told her how I felt when I met him at the market and how wonderful it felt to have him kiss me and hold me tight. The discussion quickly turned to the birds and the bees again, with Mom telling me to be careful since I wasn't quite in control of my feelings yet. I was shocked when she said that she didn't want me falling in love with some guy simply because of the hormones rushing through my system, to make certain it was really love. But Mom, I said with a shrug. I'm just having fun. I'll be a guy again in a couple of years. I know, Mom said with a strange look in her eye. It's simply that your hormones could play tricks on you. You're really just a little girl who's going through puberty. You haven't had time to adjust to being a woman yet, and I don't want to see you hurt. I'll be careful, Mom, I promised. Thanks for caring. We hugged and held each other for several minutes before I went to my room to relax, wondering if Mom really knew that I wanted to be alone to dream of Smith. I dated Smith several more times before I went back to school, and it was a tearful goodbye on my last day. He had brought out feelings in me that I was trying to deny, and I couldn't have been happier. I knew that I would have no problems adjusting to life as a girl from then on. Adjusting turned out to be not only no problem, but it was a blast. I don't know if the hormones had anything to do with it, but I found that I paid closer attention and did so much better than I had just several months before. At first, it was a pain in the butt to have to get up an hour earlier to shower and set my hair, but I got used to it quickly enough, especially when I found how much the guys in my class appreciated it. Whenever I started a class, my girlfriends and I had to get there before any of the guys if we wanted to sit close to each other. Otherwise, every seat around me would be taken with guys. My girlfriends didn't seem to mind, though. They figured that if I attracted guys like a magnet, they could pick up one or two unsuspecting ones for themselves. I dated quite a bit in college and went to several semi-formal events, which were a delight. I'll never forget the thrill of wearing my first formal gown, a beautiful shimmery black dress with spaghetti strap. John, a guy I hadn't really gotten to know well after a couple of semesters, asked if I'd like to accompany him to a dance at the country club his parents frequented. I'd never been to such an upscale event before, and since John and I were good friends, I accepted. I spent a full 2 weeks scouring shops for the perfect dress before finally finding the one that captured my heart. It looked stunning on me even with socks and no bra during the trial, so I knew it would be sensational once I was fully dressed up. That afternoon, I treated myself to the works at the beauty parlor, loose curls on top with tight kiss curls framing my face, waxed legs, a manicure and pedicure, and a complete makeover. When I was finished, my makeup was flawless, my hair was glamorous, and I felt absolutely marvelous. Slipping into a pair of black lace panties from a set I had purchased specifically for this dress, I then donned a strapless black satin bra with push-up cups. After taking a deep breath to steady myself, I carefully fastened a lacy black garter belt with pretty red bows and rolled a pair of silky black nylons up my legs, securing them to the garters. I stepped into a long black half slip and gingerly pulled my dress over my head, zipping it up. Adding dangling green earrings that complemented the color of my eyes, a jade ring from my mom, and a gold necklace with a teardrop-shaped jade pendant, I was quite the sight to behold, a stunning young woman in a dress that hugged my curves like a glove. Spritzing perfume between my breasts and behind my knees, I slipped into a pair of black velvet pumps with a 3-inch heel, tucked essential cosmetics and a small change purse with my ID into a black clutch purse, and then called Nonny to come over. When I opened the door, Nonny did a double take. "Is that really you, Rosie?" she asked in awe. "Do you like it?" I twirled for her. "I hope Johnny appreciates it. If he doesn't, he might need a check for a pulse," laughed Nonny. "You're stunning, Rosie." "Thanks, Nonny," I blushed. It took weeks to find this dress and most of the afternoon at the beauty shop. "Tell me the truth, Rosie," Nonny urged. "You're enjoying being a girl, aren't you?" "I've never had so much fun or felt happier, Nonny," I confessed. "It's going to be tough giving all of this up." "There's plenty of time to worry about that, Rosie," Nonny said, giving me a friendly hug. "You're a lovely young woman now, so make the most of the time you have." We embraced a bit longer before John arrived to pick me up. He was as delighted as I'd ever seen him when I opened the door and he beheld my appearance. I pretended to be annoyed by his staring, but deep down, I felt absolutely wonderful. That night, as I removed my makeup and changed into my nightgown, I replayed every moment of dancing with John, his dad, and the many other guys who all wanted to dance with me. As a young woman, a beautiful young woman, their actions confirmed it all. I had grown comfortable with myself and my femininity, and the guys seemed to adore it. A few weeks later, summer arrived with full force, bringing scorching temperatures and crowded beaches as everyone sought relief from the heat. It was during one of these blistering days that Nonny surprised me with a gift. Popping by the apartment, she asked if I was ready to truly show off. "What do you mean?" I replied, focused on finishing off a large glass of iced tea. Nonny reached into her bag and pulled out a small box from a local upscale women's store. My hands trembled as I accepted the box, fearing what might be inside. "Open it up, silly," Nonny encouraged. "What's the worst that could happen? If it's what I think it is, I'm afraid I might actually like it," I joked nervously. Opening the lid, I peeled back the tissue paper and my heart skipped a beat at the sight of a stunning white bikini inside. "Oh my God," I gasped. "Are you serious?" "Quit complaining and get changed, Rosie," Nonny said with a grin. "It's time to see how adorable you really are." "I can't," I protested. "I just can't wear this." "Go on, change, young lady," Nonny insisted, nudging me towards my bedroom and shutting the door behind me. Left alone, I stared at the garment in my hand. Putting it on meant acknowledging the changes I had been trying so hard to ignore. Part of me wanted to toss it back into the box and forget about it, but another part knew I had already embraced wearing girls' clothes for over 2 months. Why should a bikini be any different when I had drawers filled with pretty lingerie, most of which I had bought myself? Summoning my courage, I shed my current outfit, removed my panties and bra, and slid the bikini top over my arms. It fastened in the front like some of my newer bras, so I gently secured it over my breasts. With another deep breath, I pulled on the bottoms, trembling as they neared my hips. Giving a final tug, they settled into place, snug yet comfortable. Taking a hesitant glance in the mirror, I was stunned by the reflection of the young woman staring back at me. She was an absolute vision, her pert breasts straining against the bikini top, her nipples pressing against the smooth, tight fabric. The bottom fit as though it had been tailored for her years ago, with not a wrinkle or sag in sight. As I examined myself in the mirror, a smile spread across my face. The fabric hugged the front of my lower stomach, leading to a subtle bulge and a very feminine V-shape. Running my hands down my smooth, flat front and across my buttocks, I realized that Nonny and the nurse had been right. I wasn't just becoming a girl, I was becoming a knockout. Nonny's call for me to model snapped me out of my reverie. Knowing she wouldn't wait, I playfully opened the door, stepping out slowly with my hands on my hips. For the first time since we'd met, Nonny was speechless, her eyes wide with amazement. "Is this what you expected?" I teased. "Am I babe enough for your standards?" "Oh God," she exclaimed. "You were wasting your time as a guy, Rosie. You're better looking than I am." "I doubt that," I chuckled. "But then again, I've never seen you in a bikini. Nonny paused before suggesting we both get a tan for the summer. What do you say? She asked. Are you brave enough to be seen like that? Why not? I shrugged, arching my back to emphasize my curves. It fits perfectly, and I don't think anyone would question my wearing it, do you? Nonny's grin confirmed her agreement. Question it. The women at the tanning salon will be green with jealousy, and the guys will be too busy drooling. How about this Saturday? It's a date. I agreed with a grin, though it wasn't the kind of date I had initially imagined when we met. 4 years from now, if you're still interested, I'll go out with you, okay? Nonny proposed sweetly. I'll be interested. I laughed. Count on it. Deal, she smiled. But for now, you're Rosie, and I don't date other women. Moved by her kindness, I hugged her tightly, our embrace filled with the joy of friendship. Saturday couldn't come soon enough. I was eager to debut my new bikini in public for the first time. Quickly gathering my things as Nonny arrived, I stuffed my bikini and lotion into a beach bag, excitement coursing through me. As we approached the tanning salon's door, I felt a surge of nerves, almost backing out at the last moment. However, I was determined to follow through, with Nonny right behind me, ready to give me that extra push if needed. After registering with the receptionist, we made our way to the ladies' changing area to prepare for our session, gathering our bags in front of the lockers. It suddenly struck me that there were other women around, in various states of undress. They moved past us, seemingly oblivious to the fact that I was not biologically female. My attention was caught by one woman until Nonny playfully nudged me in the ribs, reminding me to focus and not stare. Pulling off my top, I found myself comparing their bodies to mine, assessing their features and builds. It was a stark contrast to how I would have reacted just 2 months earlier. Nonny urged me to hurry up, reminding me of our time limit, and I began to undress, noting her own lack of inhibition. Once in just my bottoms and top, I savored the sensation of soft support as I adjusted the straps. Nonny offered a word of encouragement before we left the dressing area, encountering a couple of good-looking guys heading to the tanning booths. They exchanged smiles with us, and as they passed, I couldn't help but assess them, feeling a newfound interest in their physique. The nurse's words about men being potential partners lingered in my mind, and I couldn't help but wonder what it might be like to be intimate with them. It was a startling realization of how much the hormones had influenced my desires. And judging by the looks in their eyes, they were likely entertaining similar thoughts about me. I was fully immersed in the game, confidently checking out and being checked out, reveling in the knowledge that they appreciated everything they saw. It thrilled me to no end to have men so captivated by me. But that was over 15 years ago. Looking back, it feels like a distant memory now. Nonny and I both found our paths. She tied the knot with a business major from college and relocated to another part of the country, where he carved out a successful career with a large computer firm, while she continued her work with individuals struggling with their gender identity. Meanwhile, I also married a business major, but I stayed on at the college, stepping into Nonny's former role. My wedding was lovely, albeit different from what I had envisioned when I first met Nonny. On that special day, I walked down the aisle in a white lace wedding gown, with Nonny by my side as my maid of honor, just as I had been for her 2 years prior. My father proudly escorted me and gave me away to my soon-to-be husband. As we exchanged vows, I officially became Rosie Griffith Green Turner. My relationship with Johnny had grown serious after our night at the country club, and eventually, I mustered the courage to reveal my true self to him. It devastated him to learn about my past and the inevitable return to my male identity after college. And for me, it was heart-wrenching to realize that despite my deep feelings, our love could never fully materialize. Despite being a male, Johnny was the only man I had ever loved. I longed to be his partner, his wife, for eternity. It took time, but we eventually convinced our parents of the authenticity of our bond. My love for Johnny was that of a woman for her man. Though the college offered to revert me to Rick, I vehemently refused. I had found my identity as a woman, and that was the path I was determined to walk for the rest of my days. At my insistence, they conducted the final surgery to eliminate any remnants of my male anatomy, ensuring my transition to womanhood was irreversible. Eventually, our families came to understand and gave their blessings. 2 years later, I became Johnny's wife, and 5 years after that, I embraced motherhood with the arrival of our children. You may wonder how I became a mother. The answer is simple: adoption. We welcomed 2 adorable boys into our family, who quickly became the center of our world. To us, they are the sweetest boys imaginable. When the time comes for them to pursue higher education, we've already decided that they will attend our alma mater. The program aimed at fostering understanding among men was so effective that it remained in place, much to the delight of many mothers who, like myself, had graduated from the program and hoped for their sons to benefit from it as well.